Welcome to No Apology with Emilee and Chris. So glad you are with us on this November fall cool day.
Yeah.
Finally, the cool is setting in, and I absolutely love it. It makes me happy.
Welcome to episode 31B.
Yeah.
And the reason I say B is because episode 31 was recorded yesterday, and it was brilliant. It was awesome. Every time you lose an episode, they're always better than what you you thought. But we had some good interaction, didn't we?
We did. It was a really good show, and then it was like, okay, we got to do it over.
Well,
Take two.
Here's
this time with feeling.
Here's the problem: is that we've suffered some equipment issues, and so we're just trying to work through that as best we can. But I always look at when does that happen, and it's usually right after the kingdom is starting to be positively impacted, and so these attacks come. So I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart to pray for Fresh Road Media.
Yeah.
There's a vision, there's a calling, there's a goal to reach out with the authentic truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ without apologizing, without bending the knee and capitulating to culture, yet still loving them, still showing them that we care enough to tell you the truth. And we try to soften the blow as much as we can, but no matter what we say, if we disagree with certain walks of life, they will come back hard at us. Well, Satan is their leader, so he comes back hard at us, and a lot of times he uses equipment failure to discourage us. And so here we are recording episode 31B.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have to go to episode 31C.
I hate technology.
So if you're one of those, I've had 5 people reach out to me already today, which that's good.
Good thing.
What happened to the show? A couple people heard it early because it was published, but the audio was so bad that we had to pull it down, and here we are re-recording. So, Emilee, did you want to redo Granny Rant, or did you want to start doing something different? How did you want to see this show go? Because it is kind of a 31B.
Yeah,
so what do you want to do?
There weren't a lot of hours between recording the 31 and recording 31B. So we're just going to bring that same content back to you because it was really good. I'm sorry.
This won't be as fresh because we won't be spontaneous.
We'll make it fresh. We'll make it fresh. This is what we do.
Our secret magic elixir to years on the radio was not being prepared. And it's like I call it a read and react defense. You just come on and read and react what's going on, and you don't have to. It's more spontaneous that way. It's not very polished, professional, but whatever.
We kind of know what we want to say, how we're going to say it, and we'll compare and contrast.
All right, here we go. It is time for Emilee to start the show with whatever's on her mind. We call it Granny Rant. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
Here's
I
Emilee.
I like that music. Well, this week has been, Chris, for you and I, a unique week just because of the time of year. You know what I mean? We've been raking and burning leaves. We've been trimming up trees now that they're going dormant. I've been baking a lot of bread. I'm starting to cook now for Thanksgiving. I made lefse, and it's really fun. I love this. I love the fall. I love the change of seasons. But here's what happens. We get into these ordinary things that we have to do. And when they go on day after day after day, it gets tiring. But then the seasons change and we have new tasks to do. And they're really fun for like 5 minutes. And then they get old too. Pretty soon they're ordinary and tiring just as much because you're looking and you're going, I'm going to have to rake leaves probably 2 or 3 more times before the snow flies. And this is like the 27th rollout of lefse that I've done. And it gets ordinary again. So even though they're seasonal, even though they're fun, they get ordinary. Now, I was breaking bread the other day, and this is where I really want to go.
You were breaking bread?
I was baking bread, or I was planning on baking bread. I usually make sourdough.
Part of the success of the Granny Rant is enunciation.
That's true.
All right.
Baking bread. And so when I make regular sourdough bread, it's really pretty simple. It takes a long time, but there's not much to do. You just got to wait. And then every once in a while, just kind of fold it over itself, whatever. No big deal. But, sourdough, it's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit more dense and so on. And so I thought, you know what? I really want some of that softer sandwich bread. So I started making a sandwich loaf of bread, like Meemaw did, Anyway, it called for kneading, 10 minutes minimum of hand kneading. And so I started kneading, and about 2 minutes into it, I'm going, I am not used to this. This is like harder than it first appears because it's like 10
Did you go to the
minutes
gym? No, I
solid.
kneaded bread for 10 minutes.
Right? So I'm kneading this bread 2 minutes in, and I'm like, I got 8 minutes left to go. I don't even know if I can do this. And I hope, because this is a minimum, 10 minutes is the minimum. I hope after 10 minutes my dough looks the way it's supposed to look, or I got to keep going, you know? So as I'm sitting there kneading, again, you're not really doing anything else, your mind wanders. And I started thinking about Grandma, because Grandma did this like every day, you know? And I came to just like these little realizations that, well, this is why Grandma was just kind of a wisp of a woman, and how she could work like a horse even when she was in her later years, because she would get a workout just making bread, and she did it every single day. And so as one thing just kind of leads to another, I just started thinking about all these ordinary things in life, the mundane things. What are the real impacts, the full impacts, that spectrum of effect? Even though it's an ordinary, mundane thing, what did it really do? So I'm thinking about Grandma. You know, she
Well,
had
it brought to the rise of the stand mixer. That
right,
happened,
which I don't have one.
obviously.
And that's okay, because I wasn't like Grandma where I needed to make it every day. It's like I went to the store. Anyway, one thing's leading to another, and it really got very kind of poignant very quickly, because I'm thinking Grandma always had fresh cookies in the cookie jar. She always had fresh bread on the table every night. And there were a lot of things that even though they seem like simple, thoughtless things, there were important things that brought to our family and to our community. First of all, I started thinking that, you know, whenever the thought of we're going to Grandma's house came into my mind, it's like, we're going to eat good.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what cookies she's got. I wonder what she, is she frying chicken? What is she doing? We knew that we were going to eat good when we went to Grandma's house.
I mean, if you went to Grandma's and you opened the cookie jar and there were like Oreos or Nutter Butters in there, you would look up, what's this? You know, I can't believe that you
it's
would,
like blasphemy.
Yeah, well, first of all, it never happened. It's
I
just
know,
a horrible
right?
possible
Yeah.
scenario, but it just never happened.
Yeah, those Oreos do not even belong in Mima's cookie jar. But what a sense of security as a child to think when we go to Grandma's house, we're going to eat really, really well.
Really good.
That's life-changing for a child to have that sort of reassurance in them, in that person, and in those things. Now, Grandma did this every single day. Think about that. I bake bread when I feel like it. I bake bread when it's like, yeah, I'd like to eat some bread. It's very feeling based, but Grandma did it every single day. And it didn't really matter how she felt or what she was feeling or anything. She did it. What a demonstration of faithfulness.
Yeah,
That
excellent
children
point.
and families had every single day from Grandma just doing those ordinary things. And maybe your mom did it too. I don't know. But not only did she do these things, which took a lot of time, but then she took the time also to teach her daughters and her granddaughters to do these things as well. And it was like she's thinking more than just the here and now. She's thinking about the future, and she wants her children, she wants to pass on that information. She wants them to be like her. And all of this work that Grandma did, she consumed very little of what she really produced. It was really...
Defend that a little deeper. What do you mean?
Well, she would make jar, the cookie jar was always full, but how many did Grandma actually eat? Probably not that many.
Oh, I get it. I see what you're saying.
She'd make an entire loaf of bread every day, and how many did Grandma eat? Maybe one slice, And so it was really, all that work was for others.
Labor of love.
It was a labor of love, exactly. I love that phrase. And what a demonstration of just dedicating your life to, or pouring out your life for the loved ones around you.
Excellent point.
And I really realized it's a demonstration of God's character, that this extraordinary God that we worship, He's in those ordinary things. It all points back to him, and I just absolutely love it. So, what was her reward for doing all of that work? Her reward was not for herself, but to see her family grow, thrive, be loved, and live that abundant, full life. So
Wow.
it was a good 10 minutes of kneading. Believe it or not, all that in 10 minutes. God truly is in the ordinary things in life.
Do you realize what we just did?
What did we do?
We did a granny rant.
Yeah.
About ranting about grannies.
It was a granny rant about grannies.
It was.
That's awesome. I love that.
So that's why when some of the feedback came in as far as whether we call this segment Emilee's monologue or granny rant or whatever, the reason granny rant won is because people thought that was funny. And a couple comments were, you don't look old enough to be a granny. But our oldest granddaughter is 11. So, I mean.
It counts. It works. It's kind of true.
Yeah. I had a joke that was probably inappropriate. We'll move on.
Okay. So I'm thinking, I'm forward thinking here about our shows coming up. Thanksgiving's coming up. And I just thought, what are those ordinary things, seemingly ordinary about your holiday celebration? We're kind of thinking about Thanksgiving, but it could be Christmas too, if that's what's really, exciting to you. Is that I know some people just kind of just get right into Christmas and I like that. What seemingly ordinary things really make the holidays for you? If you've got something that's really, really special, go to freshroadmedia.com because I would love to hear what makes the holidays special for you.
We'd like to do that for our next episode, but if we don't get enough feedback, we're going to wait till we get plenty because we can bring your voice on the show like a call to the show. It's so easy. Go find the sound off button on freshroadmedia.com. It's that simple. Or you can always drop an email to Emilee. Her name is spelled Emilee, Emilee at freshroadmedia.com. And so we want to start collecting these thoughts and start putting together an old-fashioned Chris and Emilee type show where we get a lot of feedback from you because that's when it's always fun.
So you can definitely just send a text if that's what you're comfortable with. Send email in text, or if you want to, we'd love to hear your voice. Sound off.
Yeah, sound off.
Freshroad media.com.
It's a click of a button. So you got to give me an example. What's a basic thing that you have that comes to mind? Let's give the audience an example.
Yeah. Okay, mine's Lefse.
Lefse. There are a lot of people that don't even know what Lefse is. When we were in Arizona, when we talked about Lefse on the air in our Arizona show, I can't remember how many hundreds of calls we got, and we had to explain it like dozens of times on the air because you brought it up like matter of fact, like everybody. It just should be common knowledge. Everybody should know what Lefse is.
It was the first time that we really lived in the south side of the United States, and it was relatively not heard of.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, where can I get some? And I wasn't making it myself at that time because Grandma always made it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, where can I get some? And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And that really stuck out. Like, it was like, oh, we can't have the holidays without Lefse. And we did eventually find some.
We found some
in Sun City where the older
Norwegians had migrated,
where they summer or live now.
And then, in fact, we should look it up. We should try to find the video. Emilee actually did a cooking video with our daughter when we were in Michigan on how to make lefse, and it's like 15 minutes. And it was in one of those videos that got pulled down, and so we republished it. So I don't even know. It had thousands of views at one time.
But at that time, I was just using whatever I had. I didn't even have, because Christopher, one of the holidays, you gave me like the skillet,
the Lefse kit,
the actual rolling pin with the sleeves, and the turner. There's actually a Lefse turner.
Yeah.
That is really very helpful in making Lefse. So that video I made was a video not using any of that because I didn't have any of that. But if you didn't have any of that paraphernalia, like the standing mixer that we were talking about, you could still do it, So it's kind of an older video, but whatever.
Yeah, for me, just trying to find something simple. It's so easy to go to the food, that
True.
There's a certain food there like lefse, or the only time of the year we get scalloped corn.
It's not scalloped
corn. scalloped corn.
Who's not
which,
enunciating now?
If you don't know how to do that, it includes a lot of crackers and, I don't know, corn.
Yes.
But we only get it at Thanksgiving. I mean, we
That's
never
the only
make
time
it.
I really make
only
it,
time it's
yeah.
ever made. And that's the way it was growing up,
Interesting.
too, before I even knew you. It must be a Norwegian thing.
Yeah.
So whatever yours is, Emily and I would love for you to go to freshroadmedia.com and do us a solid by clicking on that link and leaving some voice messaging as to what it is that makes your Thanksgiving holiday just a simple little thing.
Seems ordinary. It's a simple thing, something you probably took for granted for a long time. But now, as you get older, you realize, I don't want to have the holidays without that.
Well, for my Bible Idiots deep dive segment,
let's go there.
I will just tell you that click on, when you go to Fresh Road Media, click on Bible Idiots or go to BibleIdiots.com. The latest message is there.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, I put a lot of work into it, and I was so blown away with the depth of insight I was given in writing it, so I hope that it comes across in the message. But I would go back to what we were just talking about, and then we can bring in Mike Shaw, since this is episode 31B. And we had a great hour and 20 minutes yesterday. We're not doing that long today because I don't have the time. But
I like how you emphasize B.
One of the simple things about the Thanksgiving holiday that will replace my Bible Idiots deep dive from yesterday talking about my sermon, which you can go get at BibleIdiots.com, is being thankful.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, at Thanksgiving now, it's becoming less and less about being thankful. Our family, mine, when I was younger, you and I made this a tradition as much as we could. And whenever the family goes around the table during the meal and just says one thing that they're thankful for. Mm-hmm. And the question is if we're having Thanksgiving, who are we giving thanks to?
True.
I mean, are we at the point now where it's the government? Thank you, government, for giving us the day off, letting us have Turkey Day.
Yeah.
No. When Lincoln made the proclamation about the fourth Thursday of every November being a day to set aside for prayer and Thanksgiving, that's originally what it was. We dropped the prayer thing. But still being thankful to a God. And as atheists, you don't have that God to be thankful for, so then you have to spin it into Turkey Day or whatever else. And a lot of people just get caught up into whatever's going on in their culture. And the Iowa culture is different than the Minnesota culture, different than the Alabama, Arizona, Georgia. I mean, all the states that we've spent considerable time in. Every culture is different. And in that culture, it still came back to America being the melting pot. And once a year on the fourth Thursday of November, we would give thanks to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the line of David, where Jesus the Messiah is part of the Godhead. And that's who we give thanks to.
Right.
And that is a simple thing I don't want to see lost.
I think you just did our Thanksgiving show.
Who knows? If the audio crashes like it did in the other one, I can't record again until next Monday.
Yeah.
So then it'll be 31C. Hey, Mike Shaw's standing by right now, and Mike, you've been listening to all this. What's your thoughts?
I have a major question.
What's your question?
What's lefse? I have no idea.
All right, picture a tortilla only made out of potatoes, rolled really thin, and grilled on each side.
All
and then
right.
what you do is you put butter, and I like a little brown sugar, and you roll it up and eat it. And
You can put
that's it.
anything you want in it. So, like a lot of people use it as a dessert pastry. They'll put brown sugar or cinnamon sugar or whatever in it. You can put fruit in it. But then other people use it.
Can't do fruit.
So it's a cinnamon tortilla made out of potatoes.
Yeah.
Could
or,
be.
Oh my God, kind of.
Or you could
you
go
could call
the
it
other
Norwegian
way.
churro, you know.
Yes, that's what I was going
You
for.
can go the other way, and
that
you
sounds
can
great.
stuff it with, your Thanksgiving leftovers and roll it up. It's really delicious that way.
So it's
Now,
like meatloaf.
It can be.
You
It
can
can
put your
very much
leftovers
be
in
like
it.
a burrito, kind of, only with potatoes.
It looks like a really thin tortilla made out of potatoes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I know. I never knew that.
Yeah,
I
and
grew
now-
up in Oregon, so
But here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
The true
Yeah.
Norwegians.
Okay.
The true Norwegians
Yeah.
took the lefse and they would roll up lutefisk, which is like basically rotten fish,
okay.
in it.
It's cod with lye that's been soaking in lye. I'm not making that up.
They would take the cod, they put it in barrels, they soaked it in lye for a while, and then they took it out and they rinsed the lye off, and then they cook it up and they put butter all over it. I never got a taste for it.
Is that good?
I was an
No.
associate pastor of
Is
a
that
church.
good? Cod and lye? Is that good?
I was associate pastor of a church when I
would
first
try
got out
it.
of seminary that was a completely Norwegian church in northern Minnesota.
Yeah,
and the
sure,
three
you
big
betcha.
events every year were Christmas, Easter, and the Lutefisk Supper. And
Yep.
it wasn't necessarily in that order in
Yeah,
the people's minds.
that's true.
And
And the
Lutefisk, when you
church-
make it, the whole church just
Yeah,
reeks
for
of
like
this
a week or
sour
two.
fish. It's
Yeah.
just awful. But some people who got a taste for it, it's like candy to them.
Yeah.
And for others, we
Yeah.
had to have Swedish meatballs on the side because we couldn't eat the
Yeah.
lutefisk because it's almost like eating a jelly,
It becomes,
gelled over
the fish becomes very translucent.
That's a nice way
And
to
so
put it.
there
Gross.
people have
Like onions? Like onions when you cook them?
Yeah, exactly. And so people have
Onions
likened
hold
it.
their shape better than lutefisk.
People have likened it to a couple different things. I remember one person saying that it tasted like toilet paper that had been soaked in liquid. Like that's the consistency of it with
Okay.
butter on it. Other people liken it to like fish flavored Jello, but it's
Okay.
big
That's not
with the
working either.
Norwegians,
All right.
and
Okay.
not with this Norwegian, not with that Norwegian, but with
Right.
a lot of.
Yeah. Okay.
Real
I
Norwegian.
have never liver and onions might be the only thing that comes close to
love
where
liver
you got.
and onions.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Either you love it or it's disgusting to
Oyster
you.
stew.
Right. I love oysters.
Lutefisk is the same thing. Either you love it or you just can't stand it.
Okay.
And the people that love it, I mean, they really love
Yeah.
it.
So Emily got a Lefse Turner, a
Yes.
Lefse kit. Is there a whole economy around
There
There
it?
could
basically
be.
is,
Yeah.
The
yes,
Lefse
because you
economy?
can get Lefse cozies and you can get, there's a whole
She
bunch
put a
of
picture of her making it the other day on her own personal Facebook page,
Yeah,
so maybe we
maybe I
can
should
shift
share
that over to No
that.
Apology or
Yeah.
First Road Media or whatever
Yeah,
you
it's
guys are
just-
doing with the
it's-
social.
Facebook must not have shown that to me.
Maybe
Yeah.
not. I
For some
bet
reason.
they're
Part of the
blocking. They're blocking my Lefse.
It's part of the
Come on.
algorithm.
Yeah, we're getting shut down in a lot of ways. They don't.
Zuckerberg or whatever your name is.
Zuckerberg.
Like Newman.
Sitting on his-
Zuckerberg.
Sitting on his booster chair testifying to Congress. Little Marky.
That's so funny. All right. Well, thank you for clearing that up on the left side.
All right.
I did not know.
Are we gonna
but
play
quick
Right On,
question.
Way Off
Yeah, we
again?
are in just a second.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
Mike,
yeah,
for
yeah.
you, because now
Yep.
you've got your Italian heritage.
Yep.
You lived in the South for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
What says holiday for you?
Yeah.
Specifically Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, so specifically, growing up in Oregon. Well, I mean, my joke answer was, watching the Cowboys lose.
Yeah.
Specifically when they lost to Miami in the Leon Let It Be game, because that victory, I was the only one who had picked Miami in that game, and I ended up winning the entire season by one game. So thank you, Cowboys, for losing.
So that football game, is that what? Is that what?
My Texas friends are going to hate me for that, but yeah, I always look forward. All right, so I'm just a positive thing. One year I went to Albuquerque when my son was living there, and I was living in Tucson. Drove to Albuquerque. I taught him how to make the family sauce for Thanksgiving. So that's
Okay.
a special memory, and I taught him how to make. And the legend lives on for the family sauce.
Nice.
Which my grandma was born in Sicily. It's the real deal.
I've had
people.
that sauce.
It's so good. So
that is Sicily.
right.
Yeah.
But now it's just me. It's just me, and I'm cool with that. I really am.
Yeah.
And so the last few years, sometimes it's sad. This time it's glad. There's always someone in the church or multiple people in the church is like, well, Mike is by himself, so we have to bring him under our wing. And sometimes it feels awkward. Now the last 2 years, last year in Lubbock, wonderful friends. It was
Good.
awesome. And this year, wonderful friends here are having me over. It's awesome.
Awesome.
So I think that's good. And I'm in the carnivore diet cult now.
Yeah.
So this works.
And so,
I coined that phrase as a joke.
It's
You guys-
hilarious.
You guys hold
It's
on to it.
hilarious. No, that's why I recoined it as a joke.
Yeah. It's spreading through the carnivore
Yes.
community.
All right.
Yeah. So
This is sounding an awful lot like Charlie Brown's
Hey,
Thanksgiving.
just if you don't know, if you're tuning into the show for the first time, Mike is on a carnivore diet where he can eat nothing but meat, like nothing else but meat.
yeah.
Or protein
Meat products, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff.
Butter.
Animal
what else do you
products.
really
Yeah, you can have
need?
butter, you can have
Butter,
Eggs, bacon.
yeah.
bacon. Well, that's meat.
I know,
yeah,
but
you're
it's,
right.
it's more than meat, really.
Kind of meat laced
That's
with little
it's
gold
carnivore,
dust from God.
right? It's carnivore dessert, is what bacon is.
All right. Lots
All right, anyway,
of
back to your
opinions.
point that you had
Yes.
about the carnivore thing.
Well, the question is, am I going to cheat?
Oh, yeah, because
You
there's
know,
pie.
am I going to
and-
do the traditional Thanksgiving and just pig out and celebrate with a feast, which
Yes.
is biblical?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm kind of leaning that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would
I'll bring the
recommend it.
lefse.
I'd recommend it.
And then I can go on a 2-day fast
Yeah.
and fix it all back.
I've lost 29.3 pounds.
Yeah.
And now it's only like 24 pounds. I've gained like 5 back.
Right.
I really want to crest over 30. In fact, I want to go for 40 total. And it's just not going to happen now. Thanksgiving's upon us, and I'm just going to reset the meter for January 1st.
That's good
Yeah.
thinking. I lost 16 pounds in 3 months, so it's not a lot of weight loss, but it's starting to show
starting
a
to
little bit.
show.
Starting to show a little bit. But the best part was I ran out of a prescription that I need, and I had to get a local doctor. And so it's my first doctor visit. They do your labs.
Yeah, yeah.
My labs I'm still 40 pounds overweight or more, 50 maybe. My labs were great.
Good deal.
Good deal.
3 months carnivore. I mean, my glucose is low. My HDL is great. My fasting insulin, my fasting sugar. I mean, it was really good. So that's the
Awesome.
main reason
That's
I'm
awesome.
doing the carnivore
Yeah.
thing. So
Very
All right.
good. Let's move on.
We're
to
not taking a break. We'll put
Yeah.
that little ask for money break at the end of the show. And so,
well, let's do it now.
No, no.
Please give us your
We already
money.
got you in here. It's usually then to set up your camera.
Sorry.
You know, so
I was trying to be funny.
Hey, on anytime we do B, C, or D episodes, we don't do breaks.
We're just
going
to cut to the chase. Yeah.
episode 31B.
Yes, it is
And
time for
it's
right on, way off.
Hit
and
us,
so
Emilee.
I've got 3 statements. Here's the great thing. You guys have had almost 24 hours to really think about these questions because
Rethink.
We're doing the same ones?
we're doing the same one.
No, there is no spontaneity.
See, here's the thing though, Chris. You guys had such good points for each and every one of them. So
Is the
and I
Pope
thought they
in
were
there?
Really good. Yes.
Okay.
Let's just bring him up first, shall we?
Okay.
Pope Francis. And see, this is why I think it's kind of important too, because this is what's going on in the world, and we need to know about this as Christians. Pope Francis has made it clear that transgender people can be baptized, serve as godparents, and be witnesses at church weddings. Is that right on, or is that way off? Chris Danielson.
That is way off. The Pope is way wrong on this, and it flies in the face of everything the Catholic Church has stood for.
That's true.
Both the good, because there is good in the Catholic Church, and the bad, and there's a truckload of bad in the Catholic Church. Read Vatican II, read a lot of these Council of Trent, all these different things, and you will see that what he has just done is completely change and throttle the Catholic faith.
The whims of men,
And
yes.
the reason we're not part of the Catholic faith is that we don't need a mediator between us and God. We have direct access to the throne room through Jesus Christ.
Through Christ Jesus.
And so when he says he's speaking for God, this is going to have residual ripple effects across the globe of people who really want to have a sound faith. Now they're going to be led to believe that sin isn't sinful anymore because even the Pope said so. So I just feel heartbroken for the greater what's called Christian world, which is a lot of times Catholic world. And there are a lot of sound, saved Catholics out there that just don't know anything else. But there are those of us who've looked at the deeper bad side of Catholicism and we said, "Gots to go. We got to take off." Luther was the first one. He pounded the 98 Reese's Pieces into the door right before Halloween too. Yeah. And so that's I'm way off.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Mike Shaw, what do you think? Pope Francis has made it clear that transgender people can be baptized, serve as godparents, and be witnesses at church weddings. Right on or way off?
Super way off.
Super way off.
Yeah,
All right.
like extra way off.
Yeah.
Right, and here's why.
Way off with a little extra sauce.
So way off because he is so way off. You know, it's like this has always bothered me about Catholicism, but I guess if you're really one of the faithful and really one of the faithful, you think the Pope is infallible, which is way off. He's just a man.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a man. Mm-hmm. And he's a religious leader. I get that. But, to Chris's point, you have this religious leader that a lot of people think is infallible, who is now giving a wink and a nod and approval to sin. Mm-hmm. That is going to lead people down a very bad path. And the reason why God doesn't want us celebrating our sin is because other people will celebrate that same sin. It will get adopted into the culture. Have we been seeing that?
Right.
And then more and more people are going to be falling into really the hands of Satan, and they're going to be destroyed by what's not good for them.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem with all of this wink and a nod to sin by religious leaders, in this case, the Pope, is deadly, spiritually
Absolutely.
especially.
Absolutely. Chris.
I will use the term gateway drug. Okay, like marijuana is a gateway drug to other things, and you know my stance on alcohol, and I'll share that in a minute. But the what I'm connecting it to is that this is a gateway proclamation from the Pope. Okay, he's going to open up this sin to make then everything else less sinful. I'll give you an example. My take on alcohol is extreme moderation. Always have moderation when you're around alcohol. When I'm at an event, I have the freedom in Christ to drink anywhere I want. But here's the other thing. Don't miss this. I have the freedom in Christ to not drink.
Right.
To have a Sprite instead of whatever's being served. And a lot of times you will do that because you don't want your fellow man to, fellow man, woman, fellow human to sin or to fall because of you. The more you go up in visual in the Christian world where more people know you as a Christian, the more you have the responsibility to look at your freedom in Christ through the abstinence lens, where I cannot drink because I don't want somebody to fall. We were at a Buffalo Wild Wings. We were the morning show in Michigan, and I was having wings and hot wings and what goes good with hot wings in football? Well, a tall beer from Buffalo Wild Wings. Well, we got blasted the next Monday in a scathing email from a lady whose son was a huge fan of the show, and she wanted to come over and introduce him to us, but she couldn't because I had a beer on the table. Now, I learned from that. And then there's another situation where if I'm out having a beer somewhere and someone's struggling with alcohol, well, the pastor's having a beer, that means I can drink a 12-pack and a fifth of Jack. You get what I'm saying? It's a gateway into more. When the Pope is making this declaration, he thinks he's being helpful to the trans community, but he's not. He's actually just throttled the church with any credibility to stand up against sin forever.
Right.
I mean, this is a big, big turn.
Yep.
And it's not only that, but they doubled down because some conservative bishops started speaking out, and they targeted a guy in Texas. The bishop in Texas was targeted and was fired. No dialogue, no come to Rome and let's reason together. He was just put on the curb immediately.
Because he didn't agree with it. Yeah.
So now, what does that make a guy like me do? A journalist at heart. I start going back through the old records, and I started doing some old things. I think that all of this is part of a greater satanic plan.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes back to when Benedict decided to go on the shelf and they allowed Francis to come in. And if you noticed, when they voted for Francis, what did they have? 2 black smokes, and then the white smoke came? Like it was like the fix was in, you know? It wasn't this long, drawn-out process. Like Benedict, I think it was like 3 days and like 13 black smokes before we got the white smoke. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at how they elect a pope, and you'll understand why when you see the white smoke,
It just
they've got
cracks
a
me
pope.
up.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I grew up heathen, so like I don't get it.
Anyway,
I'm like, really?
anyway,
Okay.
so we as Christians, what should this mean to us, those of us who love Jesus with all of our heart? The full court press is coming.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yep.
Buckle up.
Yep.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. We need each other. We need to tell the truth.
Yep.
We need to support each other more than we ever have before. And I think that the Pope's declaration is that big of a deal as a gateway sin, if
So,
that makes sense.
I want to jump off that real quick because
Sure.
this is my filter for everything these days is Revelation, where we know what is coming is a one world government, one world currency system, one world religion.
Yep.
And the more I look at that, and we've all talked about this, you see it screaming towards us at 100 miles an hour. Life
Yeah.
comes at you fast. And this is a big piece in that puzzle.
If I get 10 people that will email or send a DM or something on Facebook, connect with us somehow. If I get 10 people, I will do a special segment of the show where I will lay out where I believe AI is the false prophet, and I believe that there's going to be somebody that's going to come that's going to be a demon manifestation and claim to be an alien, and that's going to lead everybody away. We even had it already on this show where they're talking about having an AI Bible
Yep.
that will then trump all the religious books. And you can just see it coming.
Professor Harari. So, yeah.
10 people say, hey, I
happy
want to do
day.
that.
So, right.
Hey, the Pope started it.
Yeah. I was in Thanksgiving mode till you brought up the
Till
Pope.
the Pope.
Yeah, you guys are right on. And we could talk about it forever. We could do the next 6 shows about this. But here's the thing. Here's the crux of the matter for me personally. And that is that we know that these things are going on, things like transgenderism, things like homosexuality, things like, like. It's not that the Pope has said, no, it's okay. It's that the Pope is welcoming it into the church. And that's the big crux. Because now you're no longer giving people the opportunity to figure it out, search the Lord. People who are confused on these matters or don't really know. No, you've welcomed it into the church now. It's good. Now, here's the problem. We talked a little bit about the issues with Catholicism. Many people do look at Catholicism or Catholics like there are no other. If you're not Catholic, you're not a Christian.
That's what they believe.
They look at it like what the Pope has said is. And so we have to listen to that. And so it's really, you can see how Satan is building upon building upon building, trying to accomplish his plan. The good thing is that God knows the plan and he has already thwarted it. But there will be people who will be deceived by it. And it was a little discouraging because there will, like you said, Chris, and I think you did too, Mike, people will be deceived by this. Yeah. And so, it is.
Do you need to clear your throat?
No.
Okay. That sounded
Do
like
I?
I don't
Okay.
know. My audio is...
Your audio went away.
My audio's dead.
Your audio went away.
I think our board got fried.
Oh, great.
Yeah, my audio.
Okay, it's time for episode 31C.
No. Everybody can hear me.
Turn off your mic.
Close the show.
Turn off your mic. Take a break. Take a break.
All right.
Just
so
close the show.
I know. That's what I'm gonna do.
But I can't be heard.
Hey, there you go. What'd you hit?
I don't know. I'm back.
All right, good. It's all fixed. Never mind. Nobody panic.
It's like crazy. War of the Worlds here. What is going on?
I'm Fonzie. Bump. I'm back.
So can I continue with Right On, Way On?
Can I get a free
Do you guys want
beer?
to keep going or do you want to end?
Yes, I do. Two
I
more
wanna
quick
keep
ones.
going.
2 more questions.
They're
All right,
not
let's
going to be. They're not
We'll keep that in. It was hilarious.
to be that long.
I don't
Number
mind working
one.
till midnight.
Number 2, Chris, you seem like in an awful hurry to get out of here, so I will oblige you. First of all, question number 2. People who wear pajamas in public have not given up on life. Rather, they are actually living it to the fullest. Is that right on or way off, Mike Shaw? What do you think?
Okay, they are living it to the fullest. So I'm right on with that.
Right on.
Right on with
Okay.
that. Hey, there's freedom. You have freedom.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, here's the thing, though. You want to be appropriate.
Yeah.
So one person's pajamas might be someone's, don't wear that out in public. So let's get that straight.
What if they sleep in the buff?
Yeah,
Here's
well,
the thing.
those are not pajamas. That's
That's true.
I forgot my pajamas.
That's true.
So if it's flannel pajamas and it's modest enough,
Yeah.
if it's just a look, if you want to be the people of Walmart,
You wanna be comfy?
but not be offensive, I'm down with it, man.
All
yeah,
right, very good.
be
Right
you.
on. Chris, what do you think? People who wear pajamas in public have not given up on life, but rather they are actually living it to the full.
No, they're just people who volunteer with their wife hour after hour that they don't have in their work schedule. I joke. If there's whimsy involved, I'm okay. But otherwise, I think there's a level of class that people should have, a level of decorum. And I'll even go back to this summer. I like to wear flip-flops a lot during the summer. And you said,
Which I hate.
Which you said that if you came to a church and the pastor was walking around in flip-flops, you would not stay. That's exactly what you said. If I got up to preach in flip-flops, that would be an offense to you. Why is pajamas in public any different?
Yeah.
Why is pajamas? I mean, again, the kids
I'm not getting
the
my
kids
theology
are
from the lady at Walmart in her snuggly.
The kids are sick. You got to go to Walgreens and get medicine at 6 a.m. and you're in your pajamas. Yeah. Nobody cares.
Right.
But if you go to that banquet and you show up in your PJs, it's not It's not cool. And to say that, well, who are you to judge? It's like, no, don't go down that path. That's just dumb. There's a level of class, a level of decorum that most sophisticated, alive cultures have.
True.
And, that's what there's whimsy, there's circumstances, but if you made pajamas your go-to outfit to go to anything, the church, the movie theater, shopping, I'm way off.
All right, very good. Well, I was glad to hear both of your sides because I'm a little torn on this one. I'm with Mike on that. Well, because I've actually done that. I have gone to stores in my pajamas for whatever reason. I
said this yesterday during this question. You've gotten on an airplane with your pants inside out. That tells you what kind of wild life we used to live.
Yeah, I actually wore my slippers to Bible study one Wednesday night. That was by mistake because I wear them around the house. They have a hard bottom.
We went out for a date one night. We had to turn around 2 miles down the road because I still had my slippers on.
You did see.
Yeah.
Yes, you can never ever tease me ever again.
I'm not teasing you. I'm just telling people the truth.
Right.
So there's on the one hand, I remember having to work. You and I worked opposite shifts. The kids were in bed. I realized we had no milk for the morning, and I had to go. And it was 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, something like that. I was just thankful the store was still open, and I just got in the car and I quick ran over there.
It was 2 blocks away.
It was totally appropriate. Yes, I agree with you,
Right.
Mike. In fact, when you look kind of at pictures of people, just generic snapshots of people like from the 50s, the 60s, even into, and then compare them to what those snapshots look like today. We are on a downward spiral. Okay, we really definitely are.
Not gonna argue with that.
Do you know that they
like
just
to go back.
They just changed the dress code in the U.S. Senate to allow that guy from Pennsylvania to wear his hoodie and his shorts.
Yep.
I know.
But I'm not saying make PJs the new business casual. So
No.
right? That's not what I'm saying.
And you gotta look at it like
But if
this.
you're not having fun.
We have lost our heads as American Western culture
Yeah.
that the exception of the rule has to be catered to.
Right.
Instead of Fetterman or what, I don't even know the dude. I've not paid attention to this guy. It's such a colossal joke in my mind. For him to, for them to capitulate to him is just
That's
beyond the pale. It's very sad.
It is sad.
It's sad, and it shows you as a weak, pathetic little human being who goes along
That you
with
can't
that.
put pants on.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that tells
it's
me
not
I
him. I'm
can't
talking about the
put
people that are
pants
voting
on.
for this or who won't stand up and say, look, we
Senator
have basic
sweatpants.
class as senators, leaders of the free world.
Decorum.
You don't have to wear a
Right.
suit and tie every time, but you cannot. We have these standards for a reason.
Exactly.
Now because they want to capitulate to the
Yeah.
exception of the rule in everything.
Why not wear a
control.
suit and tie every time? When I was
know.
political
Well,
director, I wore a suit and tie every time.
I'm saying
when I
dress
was a
codes are dress
weatherman,
codes.
when I was a weatherman, I wore a suit and tie
I
every
know.
time.
I know.
Yeah.
But the point is
Come
the
on.
Senate's dress codes are not that rigid.
No.
But it does eliminate him, and he refuses to change, and so they're going to capitulate to him.
Yeah,
that
that's
to me
sad.
is one of the saddest things I've heard in 2023. But
Well,
anyway,
Right
and
on,
there's
right off.
actually research on this, you guys.
Yeah.
People
Okay.
that do get up and they have some sort of dress code that they get ready for. There's like psychological things that happen as you're preparing for that at home, as you get into that work environment and you are dressed and you are prepared and you are ready. There's psychological things that are going on that are beneficial to the human being and to communities at large. And so that is
you know
really
that there are
sad.
Science.
three behaviors
Science.
that experts will tell you, and we're talking about top experts. There are 3 behaviors that determine whether you're a successful person or not.
Make your bed.
Make your bed is number 1.
Yeah.
Anybody who makes their bed has a much better
Explains
chance.
a lot.
The other thing is put your shopping carts away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
can't walk,
please.
if you can't walk 20 extra feet to put your shopping carts away to be part of the greater community good, you've lost all sense of
I'm
a
1 out of
community.
2 so far.
All right.
And number 3 is you pick up after your dog.
Oh, yeah.
I walk my dog in a certain spot in Harlan, Iowa all the time. They're on 24-foot retractable leashes, so it's like they get a good sniff in. I mean, they love it. But I'm militant in picking up after them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just see people let their dogs out of their car in this area because it's kind of a safe area. And I mean, and so then they're going to ruin it. What's going to happen, and I'm lamenting right now because it's happening as we speak. They're going to ruin it for all of us
Everyone, yeah.
because I'm not going to go pick up their dog stuff, and I'm stepping around it all the time to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if the city or county doesn't let us
Says
walk
no
our dogs there
more.
anymore.
Well,
Yeah.
the last one's gotten to be such a problem. Some apartment complexes, when you if you have a dog, they will do a DNA of your dog, and then if someone's not picking up the poop, they'll DNA sample the poop, so that they can
Wow.
figure out who's the culprit. It's
Dog
gotten,
poop police.
It's gotten that bad.
That's
So
incredible.
again,
I
this
know.
is not about dog poop.
Science. Science. That's all
I don't
I'm
know
saying.
what would happen if we had to go to 31C, but the reality is that we. What was the topic again?
We should wear clothes.
Oh,
Yeah, the pajamas.
The
Probably the
class,
good dress for success.
Success
Dress for success.
means that there's efforts involved. All right,
Yeah.
Emily, last one.
All right, the very last question is: He who reads the newspaper knows what's going on in the world. He who reads the Bible knows why. Is that right on or way off?
I'm going to say that's
Chris?
right on in its context as being a story about how the news headlines revert back to what's actually going on in the Bible. And right now we're seeing prophecy be fulfilled. So I'm going to be right on that.
All right.
I'm going to be way off on the fact that most journalists are now bought and paid for. They're actually
True.
groomed from high school on to have a certain bent and to write a certain way. All this pro-Hamas, terrorist journalism you're seeing in America right now did not happen because somebody went over there and tried to dig up the facts.
Right.
The people that are doing this have been groomed for a decade to be in this spot, get this job, you get this salary, you get all these perks that go with it,
And
but
you
you
write the
have to
stories
write
we
the story the
want.
way that you've been taught.
Yep.
And it's not objective journalism anymore,
Nope.
so I have to be way off because of that.
All right, Mike Shaw, what do you think? He who reads the newspaper knows what's going on in the world. He who reads the Bible knows why.
Yeah, so I'm way off on that for the reason that Chris just said because
Okay.
because of the propaganda that's in the
True.
mainstream media right now. I get my news from Twitter.
Right.
I'm sorry, Twitter X. And so on Twitter X, I'm following senators, I'm following congresspeople, I'm
Yeah.
following independent journalists that are doing really good work.
Yeah.
Like Julie Kelly, who's doing the J6 stuff. Amazing work by
Yeah,
Julie.
yeah.
For just one example of many. And so, so if you put it back in that context where journalism is good and you can find good media, then I'm right on because
on, yeah.
the truth is out there. You just have to find the right,
All right.
sources. But then the reasons behind it, it's spiritual.
True.
And so you need the Bible for that. You need the Holy Spirit for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also the reason why the mainstream media is so in lockstep with the evil that's going in the world is because it's spiritual.
Exactly.
And so they're of the same spirit. They're singing off the same choir sheet.
See,
and
that's such a good point, Mike. And the point you just made, wouldn't that make you right on?
but I'm way off because you can't trust them. But I'm
Yeah,
right on
true.
because if
Yep.
you
Okay,
know
so
what's
Emily,
going
that
on.
has to be the golden question
Right.
of this journey of
good.
Fresh Road Media, No
Yeah.
Apology, because you finally got a question where both Mike and I are legitimately right on and legitimately way off on the same question.
True.
Both of us.
But here's the thing. Even though we can see that media has become very propaganda, it's very slanted and biased and flat out. It's just flat out propaganda.
Right.
Very few actual media outlets out there. But the fact that we see that tells us what's going on and why. So even though they're lying to us now, when we read the Bible, we know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think it's just
Yep.
100% right on. I think that even, if you are in the Word, you are going to be able to discern all the things that are going on around you, including bias, propaganda, media. It's easier now than it was before because we have so many places to go to, unlike like in World War II, where people didn't really know what to believe. I believe like information is just so accessible that right now we kind of don't have an excuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, that wraps it up. That is our right on, way off. You guys were really good. You gave me some good food for thought.
I'm going to go work on David OFW.
All right.
OFW stands for Obedience, Faith, and Worship.
Love it.
And it's going to be Sermon 8, and this is going to be about when God tells you no.
I hate when that happens.
I know. And I've
Sometimes
got
I
a
love
lot of I got a lot of work to do on that. And I promised
right.
myself I'd finish today somehow, some way, because of all the meetings I got the
right.
rest of the week. And so I might be working till midnight, but that's okay.
Yep.
We got episode 31 B in the can.
Yeah.
And then when we polish this, hopefully it's not corrupted.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the files and put them on this, and I'm going to take them home, and I'm going to
We'll
polish
see.
it,
Oh, yay.
We'll
polish
see.
it, and post it.
It's a labor of love, Grandpa. So I just want to thank everybody for listening once again. Don't forget, go to freshroadmedia.com because I want to hear from you. Go to Sound Off and tell me, what is the one thing that really makes the holidays for you? freshroadmedia.com.